Kobe Bryant's my favorite player ever, so I actually got to sit and have breakfast with him and the USA guys, so that was, I was speechless, obviously, during that time.
If somebody told you that years later, like 10, 15 years later, you will speak with some random Polish guy in a random Polish city, in a Polish league that you never heard, what you will told?
I would probably think he's crazy, to be completely honest with you. It's kind of hard to predict someone to win NBA MVP, that's like the top of the top, but you could tell that he had, if he worked hard, he had all the talent to be a Hall of Famer, easily. I love the ACB. I think it's pretty tactical, I think. There's a lot of plays, a lot of different sets and things like that. Coaches have different schemes for every single game.
Hello Connor, big thanks for joining my podcast. It's a great pleasure that you find the time and good to see you in Poland.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Tell me about your first weeks in Poland. How is like from American perspective to live in Poland? How you adapt to Polish weather, Polish winter, and Polish league and teammates?
Yeah, I haven't minded it at all. Honestly, I've really enjoyed Lublin so far. Obviously, it took me a few weeks to get accustomed to everything. We're kind of struggling right now as a team, but we've had some good stretches. So hopefully, we can win on Sunday and go into the break feeling good. My teammates are great. I've enjoyed playing for Coach so far. He kind of lets the players play pretty free, which I think is really important. But yeah, overall, it's been a great experience so far.
Are you here alone or with family?
I'm here alone right now. Yeah, I'm going to go back home for the break to see my family because I have 2 kids, so I'll go back and see them. And then my son might come over later in the year to finish out the season, but we're not too sure yet.
Yeah, that was why was I asking, because I know that you have 2 kids, yes, and I was wondering, you played in so many countries, so many clubs. Are you trying to live alone and just visit them in the summer, or how it looked in the past?
They've came over with me a couple years, and now my daughter is 9 now, and my son turns 4 next week. So they're both in school right now, so it's kind of hard for them to come over during the season. But it's obviously sometimes it gets lonely being alone, but I get to FaceTime them and talk to them every single day. So I get kind of used to it.
And after playing so many years overseas, could you say that you are expert when it comes to the moving to the new countries and adaptation?
Honestly, I kind of feel like I am these days. I've been to a lot of countries overseas now in my professional career. Now it's kind of feels like Europe's my actual home, and then back home's kind of like my second home.
And how could you describe Wichita for everyone who doesn't know? Yeah,
it's a typical Midwest city. I think people kind of overlook Wichita, honestly. I personally love Wichita. I grew up there. All my family's there. It's definitely a growing city. It's not as big as like Dallas or somewhere like that, but I think it's definitely an up-and-coming city, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
And when you realize that you are quite good at basketball?
I was pretty young. I scored 18 points my first game ever when I was 5 years old, and then from there, I just fell in love with the game, and it was my dream to play professionally, and it's something I've just really enjoyed doing.
And I was wondering, because when I was doing research, the most articles, news about you was dated back in your junior or like NCAA days, because you were part of the junior national team. Yep. So you were scouted pretty early and you were considered as a talent pretty early. Now, when you reflect on that time, do you feel you had something like hidden pressure, or maybe you put some hidden pressure on yourself at the times?
I always try to put a little bit of pressure on myself. I think that kind of helps me perform. But I also didn't try to let the outside pressure, the outside noise get to me too much, I have a great set of parents, so they've always been supportive of me and have helped me through all those pressure times and everything. But overall, I haven't felt there's been tons of pressure on me now.
And how you remember that tournament in Lithuania when you won a gold to Jerrick Harding for Justin Winslow, some couple of guys, Jabari Parker.
Yeah, Kendrick Nunn. Yeah. We had a really good team, and the year before that we won in Cancun, so we won back-to-back years for Team USA. That was such an amazing experience. Still to this day, it's probably one of my best experiences I've had, just to be able to represent USA. It it was really special.
On your Instagram, there are still some photos when you at that time had chance to meet a senior team.
Yeah.
There is like the Kevin Durant, some guys. Tell me about that meeting.
It was amazing. I was obviously in awe. Kobe Bryant's my favorite player ever, so I actually got to sit and have breakfast with him and the USA guys. So that was, I was speechless obviously during that time. And then we got to be around LeBron and KD, like you said. It was really cool just to be around them.
And what made you choose Kansas? Because Wichita is in Kansas located.
Wichita in Kansas, yep.
Yeah, so I was wondering it was choice because it's like one of the biggest teams in your state, or because as a four-star recruit, for sure you have multiple offers.
I committed to KU. It was my dream to go there. So I committed there after my freshman year of high school. And so it was super, super early. If I could change it, I'm not sure if I would have committed that early, obviously. But it was my dream. So, when you're that age and you have that dream, you're going to take that opportunity. I didn't even really think about other schools, to be honest with you. It was KU all the way, and then they offered really early. And then I went ahead and decided, went ahead and took it.
Yeah, you came to the team with Coach yourself,
yep.
Well-respected coach, and some couple guys who are now like well-known names. Andrew Wiggins, Joel Embiid, and there is also Nadir Torp, I think.
Yeah, Nadir Torp.
He played in League. Years later.
Oh, I did not know that.
So, when I was we talked about this before, when I was trying to find some connections between you and former Polish league players, it's like, many. Either at Wichita State, for example, you played with Samadze Haynes-Jones.
Yeah, I did.
He's now playing at the second level in Poland, close to you in Białystok.
Okay.
So
wow, that is crazy.
So every almost team. Oh, I remember this guy. He played there. Uh-huh. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
So tell me about your first games in NCAA level in Kansas, when you have a huge fan base. The eyes of the media are located on you or your team because you have other great prospects on that roster. How was like?
It was obviously it was a lot because I'm pretty young for my class. So when I went to KU, I was only 17 that summer, and so I guess there was a lot of pressure back then because I was so young and I obviously wasn't used to just all that attention, all that media attention. Obviously, the fans at KU are probably the best in the country. But Coach Self did a really good job of kind of not letting us fall into that too much and kind of just focus on playing and winning. But it was definitely something to get used to. But I feel like we all adapted pretty quickly.
And how you keep yourself, not to say motivated, but because as a prospect, the eyes on the people are on you. You're coming outside the home, so you're living alone. Being adult, so you have other temptations. How you kept yourself on the ground? Because also, when I found the research, you have the accident with the driving under influence. So, do you feel today? You tried to be on the ground. Did you keep your legs on the ground, or maybe you had some times where?
Yeah, you obviously try your best. It can be hard at times, but I think it's really important to have, good friends and good family around you. Not just, obviously your teammates are great friends too, but obviously to have kind of an outside circle who's there to help you through if you're struggling through anything or if you're having, bad temptations or anything like that. You can go to them, and I've been really, really blessed to have a great family that has supported me through everything. I think that's really important.
And which chapter shaped you the most as a point guard? It was the high school times, Kansas times, or maybe Wichita State?
That's a good question. In high school, I played point guard, but I scored a lot in high school. And then obviously when I went to KU, I had Andrew Wiggins and Joel Embiid to throw the ball to, so that made it pretty easily. And then at Wichita State, we had some really good teams too. So I would say kind of all those years, I learned something new every single year, to be honest with you.
And how you look at today point guards? Because a few months ago I heard a quote by Rick Pitino who said that there's no any point guards anymore in modern basketball. When sometimes somebody consider themselves as a point guard, is probably a guy that cannot shoot.
Yeah, I think the game is changing for sure when it comes to just a pure point guard. You know what I mean? I feel like most really good teams nowadays have a point guard that can score and can shoot it too. You know what I mean? Obviously, it can also pass and everything too. But I think it adds another component to your team if your point guard can score and pass. And kind of create for his own too. I think that helps the team if you're able to create for yourself, and get them open as well.
How you look at when you look at this evolution of the basketball, when like the other all guards have to shoot a threes, you don't have, like I said, classic point guards. We know how Golden State Warriors shaped the global basketball. What is your take on this? Do you like how the basketball evolved in recent 10-15 years?
I do, honestly, because I feel like I'm a pretty good shooter, so I feel like I can score pretty well. So for me, I feel like that's helped me. And I obviously love Steph Curry too. So, but I think it could kind of hurt youth basketball. I think nowadays kids are so worried about just kind of jacking up threes and things like that, and not like actually learning the entire game. And so I think there's kind of downsides to it, but if you can learn to play the right way and do the right thing, then there's obviously upside to it too.
I have many friends that say that they miss old school basketball because at that time there was more contact. Today we don't have, like, when you look at the NBA, almost every time there is a call or something. For sure. And yeah, like you said, I think back in the day there was way more contact, and now I think the referees, they kind of look for that, especially in the NBA. It's so open and so free. And the fans and everybody loves scoring so much now, they kind of do whatever they can to have high scores. And after many years playing overseas, do you prefer watching Euroleague or NBA?
I love watching NBA playoff basketball. And I watch Euroleague every night when it's on. So, and I guess kind of the time difference, I can watch Euroleague here at a normal time. Like I don't really get to catch much NBA games. So when I'm over here, I definitely watch way more Euroleague than I do NBA. But when I'm back home, if I'm back home for a certain reason, then I kind of watch NBA. So kind of both.
When I'm speaking with American players about current NCAA, they said, I wish I can play in today NCAA because I could earn money.
100%. It's absolutely crazy now with the NIL and everything. Like I missed it by just a couple years, but I would have loved to be there now during this time for sure.
Yeah, because I heard a story that sometimes player got banned because I don't know, they received like the gadget or something.
Oh yeah,
and now you can
get a car, you can get a $2 million. Yeah, even back when I was in college, if you took if a booster or something would buy you a dinner and the NCAA found out about it, you could get in trouble or suspended. Yeah. Nowadays, it's just like, here, take $1 million and then go from there.
And when you hear the story about pro players going back to NCAA, what do you think?
I don't think I really agree with pro players who, if they've played in the NBA or if they've played at a high level overseas, I don't think they should be able to go back to the NCAA. Yeah.
But there are some players drafted. And now coming back, I heard one time heard the interview of, I don't know if you remember, the player like Przemek, he played for Gonzaga during their prime, and he said that he calculated that if he played during these NIL times, he could earn about $3 million throughout this.
100%, for sure, probably pretty easily.
And when you play for a school like Kansas,
exactly. You definitely could have earned millions for sure.
And tell me about how it was like to play with Wiggins and Embiid. How they were as teammates, and when you look at them today, what you feel?
They both were great teammates, honestly, and they were both really good people too outside the basketball court. Andrew and Joel, they were both super humble, super grounded. Joel was obviously pretty young back then, so he was kind of just learning to play basketball, but you could tell that he had, immense talent to be, one of the greatest ever. And then Andrew was so athletic, and they both were great players and great people, and it's been really good to see them be so successful in the NBA.
And when you saw Embiid winning MVP, do you expect at that time that he could grow as much?
It's kind of hard to predict someone to win NBA MVP. That's like the top of the top. But you could tell that he had, if he worked hard, he had all the talent to be a Hall of Famer easily.
And what made you, going from Kansas to Wichita? It was about minutes.
Yeah, kind of. I just never, like I said, I committed so early. I never really did my homework on, what Coach Self wanted and things like that. I was just so, one-minded. I'm going to go to KU and play at KU. And then it just didn't work out. And then I transferred to Wichita State.
And also at that time there was old rules, so you have to sit at.
I just sit out a full year. Yep. I
Yes.
just sit out a full year. Nowadays you can transfer to 10 different schools and play the same year. So yeah.
And how you remember your times at Wichita State? Because also you have good teammates, I think. Austin Reaves, Fred Van Liet was there?
Yep.
Yeah. So Samaje, as we said before, and it was like your home school almost.
It was 10 minutes, 15 minutes from my house. So Wichita State was interesting. Obviously there was some stuff that went on with Coach Marshall, in our junior and senior year. But I mean, I made some great friends there, and I had a pretty good career there. If I could redo it, I don't know if I would have went to Wichita State after I left Kansas, but it was hard not to go there since it was my home. You know what I mean? My family was there and everything. So
yeah, and maybe this aspect that you have family close, it was helpful or not? Because sometimes you have to be like maybe to grow as a person, sometimes you have to leave the home. And now at the age of, I don't know, 20, 21, you're coming back to your home.
Right. It was, to me, I think it was helpful. You know what I mean? I've been so close with my parents and my family throughout my entire life. So for me, I think it was helpful. I'm not sure if everybody else could say that exact same thing. I'm not exactly sure, but for me, it was helpful.
Throughout all these years, you played against NBA prospects in the halls, big halls transmitted in sometimes all over the country, and you're going pro. You are undrafted and you're going to Bulgaria.
Yeah.
What you had in your mind when you get to the plane and went to the Bulgaria?
When I got over there, I remember texting my parents saying, I'm going to retire, I can't do this. And then somehow I just said, I'm going to stick, because I knew I was a very good basketball player. I knew if I could just stick it out, I could, keep moving up. And then I decided to stick it out and had a really good year there, and then went to Greece from there.
And tell me about your time in Bulgaria, how it was.
It was, honestly, it wasn't as, now that I look back on it, it wasn't as bad as I was thinking it was in the moment, obviously. But I mean, it was completely brand new going from, the United States to Bulgaria. It was different, but I think I grew a lot during that year and learned a lot. So yeah, I wouldn't change it.
It was after this year when you played for Lakers in Summer League?
I went, okay, so let me think. I played in Bulgaria, and then that next summer was when I played Summer League with the Lakers.
Yeah, and I think you played 3 games or something like that?
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 games, something like that, yeah.
Because I recently spoke with Rick Howells, he played for the Trafi support, and he also played 2 times for Memphis Grizzlies, and I asked him question, when you play for Summer League, do you think you experience NBA, or maybe it's something called NBA Summer League, but nothing related to NBA? Because he said that it's like tryouts.
It kind of is, yeah. And I think there's a lot of politics that go into NBA Summer League, guys who are older and, guys maybe have some sort of promises from a certain team, this and that. So no, I wouldn't really consider it's too close to the NBA. I mean, obviously there's a lot of really good NBA players who played Summer League and had a great NBA career. But I think overall it's probably different.
Tell me, what you ate or what you drink during your time in Greece? Because you had an amazing season, you were top scorer on the Greek league, you were all-star, amazing season. So I was, you played at Crete, so I suppose nice place to live.
Very nice place, and right on the beach, right on the island, it was beautiful there, yeah.
But tell me about that season, what made you so good?
Like I said, I had felt really confident that year. I had the ball in my hand a lot that year. I think that helped me. And that coach gave a lot of freedom to the guards too, and to me. And so I'm thankful for that. And it was just a really good year.
You played a couple of times in ACB, which is considered as the best domestic league in Europe. How you felt there?
When I was at Murcia, I felt great. I mean, I had that was probably my best year pro at Murcia.
So even better than Greece?
Probably, yeah. I think I averaged like 17 or 18 in the ACB that year, and then went Euroleague that next year. So that was probably my best year. And I loved Murcia, honestly. I loved Cito Alonso. He's one of my favorite coaches. I like to play a lot of golf too, and I lived on the golf course in Murcia, so I played golf a lot. So maybe that's why I had such a good year. But that was probably my best year.
And tell me about the level of the ACB. Does it surprise you and the style of they play, they live? After what you said about Murcia, I suppose you fit well.
Yeah. I love the ACB. I think it's pretty tactical. I think there's a lot of plays, a lot of different sets and things like that. Coaches have different schemes for every single game. I kind of like that, honestly. But yeah, overall, I love playing in the ACB.
When you play against teams like Real, Barcelona, Baskonia, the top Euroleague teams, do you feel that they play on another level? Maybe because they are, for Europeans, they are considered as a great.
For sure. Obviously, they were extremely good. When I was at Murcia, we were lucky enough to beat Barca and Baskonia. We almost beat Madrid at Madrid, I think, if I remember right. So, obviously they're better than Murcia, obviously, and those teams like that. But, Murcia's having a really great year this year. They're a really good European team. But yeah, obviously Barca and Madrid and those type of teams are really top level.
And tell me from perspective of point guard, because many times I heard that point guard is like connects coach's vision to the other teammates. I understand it's easy when you are, when you are American playing in NCAA or NBA, because you play with guys that are also Americans.
Right.
But how it's like to transform the coach's vision when he is not American like you?
I feel like you have to have a really good relationship with your coach to be able to do that well, and I feel like I've been pretty lucky with my coaches overseas to have a great relationship with the coaches. And all of them spoke enough English and good enough English that helps a lot big time too. And
are you the guy who likes get more into the tactical side of the game, or maybe just give me a ball and?
It kind of depends who's on your team, honestly, and kind of how your team is shaped. I think that's more so.
And when you went the Euroleague, the Zenit, of course you played with some guys that we know like Ponitka, Jordan Loyd, but finally you have the chance to play in the second best league in the world, Euroleague. And do you feel really this is the second best league in the world?
For sure, I do think so. Yeah, I think Euroleague, especially nowadays, it's every team has multiple NBA players and it's just getting bigger and bigger every single year.
How hard or easy was for you to adapt to this team and to Euroleague?
At first it was difficult, but it wasn't like outrageously hard. We had a really good team at Zenit. I think we were third or fourth in Euroleague before the war happened. So it was nice to have really good teammates, obviously, who were super good, and that helps every single new rookie coming into Euroleague. And obviously we had Xavi Pascual, their coach, who's like a legend in Euroleague. So he helped big time. So yeah.
And how was Mateusz?
He was really nice. He's kind of a different guy, obviously, but we had a good relationship. I have nothing bad to say about him. I thought he was a really good player. He played really hard. He kind of could do a little bit of everything, honestly. He could score, he could pass, rebound. He's a great player.
In Poland, we say that when Ponitka wears a Polish national team jersey, he turns to like Jordan.
For sure. I see that he does so good when he plays for the national team.
And what about Jordan Loyd? He also became last year Polish national team player, and he contributed a lot in Eurobasket. He is also well known because he played some games in NBA. He also have multiple EuroLeague experience. What are your opinion about him?
He's a great player. He can score with the best of them in EuroLeague. Shoots it really well. He's a great player, great EuroLeague player.
And tell me about the time that the war in Ukraine started. Everyone, guys in Russia have different view on this, but you other foreigners, how you remember that days?
Well, so I would kind of consider myself a little bit lucky because my son's mom was pregnant at the time. She was 34 weeks. So we knew that some stuff was going on, and I actually had a small fracture in my ankle, so I was out during this time. And so she flew back to the States for our son to have the baby, and then I flew back for that. And that was about a week or 10 days before everything got really crazy. So we kind of got out of there before everything was wild. But then my teammates, obviously in the group chat, were saying when it was going on, they were like walking to the border to try to get out. and things like that. So, I mean, it was a crazy time, obviously, during that time. But I feel like we were pretty lucky to get out a little bit early, especially with her being pregnant, things like that.
And the next year, another thing happened: the earthquake in Turkey. While you played in Turkey, because you played at that region that was the most affected, I think, by earthquake.
Obviously that was super tragic, but our team during that time, we were actually on the road in Istanbul when it hit, and that was the first time my son's mom and my son traveled that entire year to Istanbul with us, and so they weren't in Gaziantep during that time. Thank goodness, because it could have been horrible. So we were lucky that year too, but that was absolutely insane. We've had some crazy years.
Yeah, like when I did research, I found out that this 2022, 2023, that was a tough year, because I think also at that end of the year your brother passed away.
Yeah, the next year my brother passed away. When I was in Lugo at Briogan, that was when my brother passed away.
And I saw like some your post about him. Tell me about your relationship you had with him.
He was my best friend. I mean, we were extremely close. We golfed all the time in the summer, and he was my biggest fan. My biggest fan. I mean, it was a horrible tragedy. We still think about it all the time, and we miss him dearly. But he was an amazing brother.
He was also like the sport fan?
But he was a huge sports fan. He loved Tiger Woods. I love Tiger Woods too. Loved Manchester United. Loved Kobe Bryant too.
I think he trained soccer from what I...
Yep, he did. He played soccer until he got out of high school. So he loved soccer and sports and everything like that. Yeah.
So how long, if we can set even, how long took you to like get back to normal life? Let's say.
It's been a little bit over 2 years now, and I wouldn't say obviously I think about it every single day, to be honest with you, and there's some days that are way harder than the others, but I just try to think that he's in a better place in heaven. And he's not struggling down here. But I'm not sure if you really ever get over it. You kind of just learn to live with it a little bit better, maybe. If that makes sense.
I found one interview, Polish interview, when you said that in recent years you have a couple of moments when you consider if you want to still play basketball. Why?
Just with those 3 years back to back, and then there was COVID the year before that, and it was just a lot on a person, you know what I mean? And I was overseas a lot by myself, and I think it's just kind of something that crossed my mind, and it was just some really hard times.
And so, what made you choose? Okay, let's give it a try once again.
You just, like I said, I think you kind of just. The most tragic thing was when my brother passed away, for sure. And then, like I said, you kind of just learn to live with it better, and then you want to keep doing what you love and try to, make him happy, you know what I mean? And, try to do things for him and make him happy the best way you can. And I'm only 30 years old, so I feel like I have some good years, and keep going.
Do you think you are, because you mentioned your age, do you think you are in your prime right now?
I think in the last few weeks, in the last month or so over here, I've really started to play some really good basketball, especially in practice and everything. I'm starting to feel really, really good. I just want to keep working and keep playing well.
But you had the break before you signed a contract. You didn't play like at the beginning of the season.
Nope, I didn't. We played the TBT tournament this last summer and then won that. And so it was nice to spend some extra time at home during the start of the year, and those sort of things. I decided to come back over here.
And tell me about this TBT. Could we consider this as a professional competition? Because there are some pro players, but I don't know if
That's a good question. It's not, obviously it's nowhere near as serious as, like an actual European season or things like that. But there's a lot of money on the line, and, there's some really good players. So, for those 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, it's pretty serious, and you can kind of call it a professional league or whatever, but I don't think anybody's going around saying I'm going to play TBT professionally for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
But it's when it comes to the level, how could you describe the level of this tournament?
It's pretty high. I mean, there's some ex-NBA guys, Euroleague guys playing it, and I think each year it's kind of different. There's some years where maybe it's a little bit down, and then some years where it's really, really high level.
So what was the key to success this last year when you won this tournament?
We've been close. I think this is I forget, maybe our 5th year playing. So we've made it to the Final Four twice or once, I think. And so we've been really close. And then this year we were lucky enough to be able to host the entire thing. And so the finals were at home in Wichita. And so that was just like, it all just worked out perfectly for our team to win and for it to be at home and everything like that.
And what you knew about Poland before you?
To be honest, I did not know.
Yeah, that's common answer for foreigners.
Hardly anything. I knew of Warsaw, obviously, but besides that, that was about all I knew.
So nothing about the, I don't know, players, historic clubs.
Not too much. No, to be honest with you, no. Because I never came here to play, not even in any European competition.
Yeah,
I never came.
So only like Mateusz Ponitka was like Polish connection.
Oh yeah, I was like, okay, well yeah, that's it.
But did you do any research before you signed the contract about the club, about the league?
A little bit, yeah. And I talked to Liam because since he was here a few years back before I signed, he said he really enjoyed it here, and obviously he came back for a second stint. So it was good to talk to him, and he said he really enjoyed it. And obviously, I trust his thoughts and things like that. And so yeah, I thought it'd be a great chance.
Start last year surprisingly won the silver medal, got into the final there with a revelation of the league. So did you felt any bigger expectation when you came? Because this season didn't start it as they expected.
Right.
You came with JP Tokoto throughout the season. So when you coming in the middle of the season, usually sign you, help.
Yeah.
Do somebody change? And how the first weeks when it comes to just your coach-player relationship look like? When you had expectations towards you, how you felt, how you adapt to this?
Obviously it took a few days to get adjusted, but when we first got here, I think we went 4-1 in our first 5 games. So we kind of turned it around, and then the last month or so we haven't been playing our best basketball, and so we're hoping, like I said, to get a win before the break and going into the break feeling well. But like you asked with the coach, we have a really good relationship. I trust him, and I really enjoy my teammates too. And
what's your take about Polish League?
It's physical.
Everyone said that the referees allows for much contact.
For sure, and there's some really good teams, really good players. So far it's been really nice playing here.
And is there any team or guys in other teams that impress you, or maybe because I suppose there are some names that maybe were familiar to you when you or maybe when you play every week. Sometimes you heard the name, I think I played against him in this league or NCAA.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anybody really in particular. I guess there's no one in particular that really stands out. Obviously, Legia has some really good players. There's great guards in this league. There's literally every single team has some really good players on it.
And tell me, how happened that you receive Georgia passport? You played 1 game for them?
Yeah, I got it when I was in Murcia. My Octagon was able to get it figured out and did all that, and then I went there for the national team break, and I played 1 game, or I think I played 1 game, and then I tore something in my left knee over here the second game.
Because I found on the stats that you played 1 game, I think, against Serbia. I'm not sure.
Yes, and then the next game, in the second quarter, I tore something in my left knee, and then I was out for a few months from there, and then I haven't played since.
Yes, but how did you feel when you played as a junior for USA? You're hoping to play one day on senior national team USA, and you play for Georgia, not the state.
Yeah,
not the state.
It was. I still think about it a lot. I think that passport was good. It's good for 10 years or so, and so it's kind of cool to say that I'm officially Georgian technically. Not really, but you know what I mean. It's kind of cool to say that.
Did you learn language?
No, I did not. Unfortunately, I was only there for about 5 days. So, but no, I was the city and the country was really cool when I was there.
Your friend from Wichita, Jerrick Harding, also is naturalized player for Poland. He debuted, I think, this year and played an amazing game. I had the chance to meet him when he played visit Warsaw. Tell me about when what you think about him, how your relationship with him started, because you are from the same region?
Yeah, same city actually. Yeah, he went to this high school that's in the same city as me. So we played each other probably 4 times in high school, because I think he's a year younger than me. And so he went to a high school called Southeast, and then I went to Wichita North, and so we played against each other. And then we kind of knew each other when we were younger. My mom actually taught him in kindergarten. My mom's a kindergarten teacher, and my dad retired now, but my dad was a PE teacher, and so yeah, my mom taught Jerrick back in kindergarten, which was kind of a small world. But so yeah, I knew of him, and then we become close over the years, and he's having a great career. So it's really good to see that.
And how could you describe him as a player? What's most impressive thing about his game?
I think the way he scores. He's not that big. He's same size as me, maybe even a little bit shorter, but he scores so well, and I think it's good that he's left-handed. I think that's kind of unique for a scorer that good. But like I said, it's always really good to see people from your city to succeed and have such a great career overseas.
You mentioned the size aspect. I'm wondering, because I'm looking here at today NBA and even Euroleague, how there are like the tendencies to put tall guys on rosters, and sometimes I'm recently heard that if you are under 6'3", now today as a point guard in Euroleague or in NBA, you have a problem. So do you consider yourself as undersized players?
I don't want to think that, but if you probably put it all together, we're probably a little bit undersized nowadays. Especially in the NBA. Point guards are huge, and the wings are 6'10", and crazy long and athletic. So I guess if you want to actually classify, we're probably a little bit undersized.
And what is the best thing about basketball you learn while you play in Europe?
I think kind of adapting to everyday life. There's a lot of different things that go on in European basketball, and I think that kind of helps you kind of outside of basketball in your life, with things that can be thrown at you. One week your team can win a game and everything is great, and the next week you lose, and then it feels like the world's ending. So, it's kind of different and nice to learn stuff every single new year, and yeah.
And do you see yourself in basketball environment after you will end your career?
Good question. I think about that a lot. Sometimes I think I do, and sometimes I want to be completely done with it. But I know my son will want to play basketball, and it would be impossible for me not to want to be in his life and help him, and probably coach him throughout his couple of years.
So he is also a little basketball fan?
He is. He loves sports, and he loves golf. He loves soccer and loves basketball.
And do you have any hobby outside basketball to cut your mind from thinking about basketball all the time?
Golf for sure, especially when I'm back home, or if I'm in a warm place, I'll play a lot of golf. Back home during the summertime, I'll play 4 times a week probably. So.
And if somebody, when you accepted this offer from Kansas, you went to the Kansas. If somebody told you that years later, like 10, 15 years later, you will speak with some random Polish guy in a random Polish city, in a Polish league that you never heard, what you will told?
I would probably think he's crazy, to be completely honest with you. I would probably say he's crazy. I figured I'd probably play professionally somewhere, I never knew where. But I'm really happy with how my career's ended up. I hope to have a couple more good years and kind of see where it goes.
Are you satisfied how you develop your career?
I am, yeah. I really wish, those 3 years, all those things wouldn't have happened, but it's life. So everybody has a crazy story at some point in their life about a tragedy. So, I don't feel sorry for myself. It's, you have to get up and keep going every single day.
We mentioned this topic a few times, but how you combine the role of the professional player with the role of the father, partner, member of family? Because as you said, you are here alone. Mm-hmm. Your family is 100,000 miles away. You said that you mentioned the FaceTime, but it's the physical contact is not a good. We can't compare the physical contact to the FaceTime. And when you remember yourself at your first seasons and right now, how it was easy for you to combine these 2 roles?
At first, it was really hard. Obviously, not being able to be there, you know, for birthdays and whatever things, all sorts of things for your kids. And now, like I said, I've kind of gotten used to that, and I feel like that my kids back home have gotten more used to seeing me, you know, on FaceTime. It's not ideal, obviously, for a kid or a parent, but you know, this is my job, so I come and play, and when I play well, to support them and things like that. So as the years have gone on, it's gotten a little bit easier. But obviously, when you're over here, they're getting older back home too, and so you miss out on a lot of things. So I think it's kind of all perspective.
Did you have any moment in your career that you look at basketball as a job, not as a passion? That you felt, okay, I have to play because I have contract?
Yeah, there's obviously times, you know, you think about that, you know, like if, you know, there's a big event back home, or, you know, your kid has a birthday, you know, things like that. You're like, I'm over here, I should be back home. So, you know, I'm gonna go do my job because my contract says this. But, you know, I think it's really important to also feel like, you know, we're really lucky to be able to play professional basketball as your job. You know, we could be, you know, back home working in an office for 9-10 hours a day, and we come to work for 2 or 3 hours a day, and then we have so much free time. So in the grand scheme of things, we're really, really lucky to do what we do.
Yeah. And coming to the end, what are the best basketball lessons you learned throughout your career? Like life lessons, basketball.
Just to keep going no matter what. You know, there's going to be tons of up and downs throughout a season, and obviously in your life there's ups and downs every single year. And so just to wake up and keep going and try your best every single day, even if your best isn't going to be, you know, you're the top level that day, but as long as you come up and show up, then, you know, I think you can go home and look at yourself in the mirror and feel proud of yourself.
And what the today version of Connor would advise to this Connor who just came to Kansas?
To continue to work hard. You know, there's people everywhere around the world who are working super hard, and to never give up, and, you know, to follow your dream. You know, I'm 6'1", and I've played at the highest level possible, and just to work as hard as you can and see where life goes.
And apart of staying healthy, what I can wish to you?
For me to say, what do you mean?
No, because usually in Poland we wishing everybody to good health, to money, to success, and apart of wishing you health, what I can wish to you?
That I don't have any more tragedies in the next few years. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yes.
So big thanks, Connor, for joining my podcast. It was a great pleasure to hear your story. Great pleasure to see you in Poland.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.